What if I told you that on December 19th, 1972, 3 men splashed down in the Pacific Ocean, and humanity has never gone back to where they'd been? Stay with me, because the story of the last moon mission is about endings, beginnings, and a promise we're still trying to keep. December 19th, 1972, the USS Ticonderoga cuts through Pacific waters, waiting. Above, 3 tiny parachutes appear against the sky, carrying a scorched capsule falling toward the ocean. Inside are Eugene Cernan, Ronald Evans, and Harrison Schmitt. They've just spent 12 days in space, 3 of those days walking on the moon. They're exhausted, exhilarated, and utterly unaware that they're closing a chapter in human history that won't reopen for decades. At 2:25 p.m., the capsule hits the water. Splashdown. The last moon mission is over, and 52 years later, we still haven't gone back. Let's go back to the beginning. December 7th, 1972, 12:33 a.m. The only manned spaceflight ever launched at night from the United States. The Saturn V rocket sits on the pad at Kennedy Space Center, bathed in spotlight so bright they turn midnight into day. Inside the command module, Cernan, Evans, and Schmitt wait for ignition. The countdown reaches 0, fire erupts beneath the rocket, and for a moment, it's as if the sun itself has risen at Cape Canaveral. The flames illuminate the entire Florida coast. People watching from miles away can read newspapers by the light. The rocket climbs, and behind it, it leaves a column of fire stretching from Earth to the heavens. One witness later says it looked like a second sunrise. Another calls it the most beautiful thing they've ever seen. Nobody watching knows it, but they're witnessing something that won't happen again in their lifetime. This is the last time the Saturn V, the most powerful rocket ever brought to operational status, will carry humans beyond Earth orbit. 3 days later, Cernan and Schmitt descend to the Taurus-Littrow Valley. This isn't just another moon landing. This is the finale, and NASA wants to go out with everything they've got. For the first time, they're sending a scientist, not just test pilots. Harrison Schmitt is a geologist, and he's about to do something no scientist has ever done: actually walk on another world. They spend 75 hours on the surface, longer than any previous mission. They drive the lunar rover 22 miles across the moon, the farthest anyone has ever traveled from their spacecraft. They collect 243 pounds of rocks, the most brought back from any mission. Schmitt discovers orange soil, evidence of ancient volcanic activity that rewrites what we know about the moon's history. On their last moonwalk, Cernan pauses before climbing back into the lunar module. He knows what's coming. He takes out a rock hammer and scratches his daughter's initials, TDC, into the lunar dust. Then he speaks into his radio, words that give you chills even now. As we leave the moon at Taurus-Littrow, we leave as we came, and God willing, as we shall return, with peace and hope for all mankind. But here's what Cernan doesn't know as he says those words. NASA's budget is already being slashed. The Vietnam War is draining resources. The public's attention has moved on. 3 more Apollo missions, already planned and paid for, will be canceled. This is it, the end. They lift off from the moon on December 14th. The ascent stage rises, leaving the descent stage behind like a monument. For 3 days, they coast back toward Earth. On December 19th, they separate from the service module and orient the command module for re-entry. The heat shield will reach 5,000 degrees as they slice through Earth's atmosphere at 25,000 miles per hour. At 2:25 p.m., they hit the Pacific. Navy divers are in the water within minutes. The 3 men emerge from the capsule, squinting in the sunlight, breathing Earth's air for the first time in 12 days. They're smiling, waving, utterly unaware that they're the last humans to leave low Earth orbit for half a century. The numbers are staggering when you think about them. Between 1969 and 1972, 12 humans walked on the moon. Then, nothing. For 52 years and counting, no one has gone back. Every person who walked on the moon during Apollo is now either elderly or deceased. Eugene Cernan, the last man to walk on the moon, died in 2017, still waiting for someone to follow in his footsteps. We've sent robots to Mars. We've built a space station. We've launched telescopes that can see to the edge of the universe. But we haven't sent a single human being beyond Earth orbit since that December day in 1972. An entire generation has been born, grown up, and grown old without seeing humans explore beyond our planet. Why? The reasons are complex: political, economic, and cultural. After Apollo 17, space exploration became about satellites and shuttles, about staying close to home. The dreams got smaller, the budgets got tighter, the will to push boundaries faded. But something's changing now. Artemis missions are scheduled. New rockets are being built. Plans are being made to return humans to the moon, and this time to stay, to build bases, to establish a permanent presence. The silence is ending, but it took more than 5 decades. When the next astronauts step onto the moon, they'll see the footprints from Apollo 17 still there, preserved in airless perfection. The initials Cernan scratched for his daughter, unchanged. The descent stage, the flag, the rover tracks, all exactly as they were left in 1972. A time capsule from the last era of human lunar exploration. And maybe, just maybe, they'll understand what was lost during those 50-plus years of silence, the momentum, the possibility, the sense that humanity's future was unlimited. On December 19, 1972, when that capsule splashed down in the Pacific, no one thought it would be the end of an era. They thought it was just the beginning. Eugene Cernan's last words from the moon were, "We shall return." He believed it. Everyone did. Return next year. Return in 5 years. Return in a decade at most. But instead, we got 52 years of looking up at the moon and remembering when we used to go there. 52 years of promises, plans, false starts, and delays. 52 years of telling ourselves we'll go back soon, just as soon as we find the money, the will, the reason. December 19th, 1972 should have been just another successful mission. Instead, it became the day humanity stopped reaching. You know what strikes me about this story? It's not just about space exploration. It's about how quickly we can lose momentum, how easily dreams deferred become dreams forgotten. In 1972, returning to the moon seemed inevitable. By 1982, it seemed impossible. And somewhere in those 10 years, we stopped believing we could do great things. Which makes me think about the stories we're not telling, the dreams we're putting off, the things we keep meaning to do but never quite get around to. Your grandmother's stories about how your family came to America, your father's childhood memories that you keep meaning to record, the family traditions you assume will always be there, until suddenly they're not. What if we treated our family histories the way we treated the moon program? Always planning to preserve them, always assuming there's more time, always believing we'll get back to it someday? And then one day, the people who know those stories are gone. The last person who remembers splashes down, and nobody followed. Have you recorded your parents telling their stories? Have you written down the recipe that tastes like home? Have you asked your grandparents the questions you'll wish you'd asked when they're gone? Or are you waiting, assuming there's always tomorrow, always next year, always time? The Apollo astronauts thought they'd return to the moon soon. They didn't know they were making one last trip. Don't let your family's stories become like the moon, a place we used to visit, that we keep promising to return to, but never quite do. This is what History Sparks is all about. We don't just tell you about astronauts, authors, and historical events. We remind you that your story, your family's story, is history too. And if you don't preserve it, it splashes down and disappears forever. Join our community. Subscribe to History Sparks, because every day we're lighting up stories that matter. Tomorrow, we'll spark another piece of history to life. But today, right now, we're asking you to become the historian your family needs, to capture the stories before they're lost, to preserve the memories before the last person who remembers them is gone. Hit that subscribe button, ring the notification bell, Then call someone who matters and ask them to tell you a story. Record it. Please write it down. Make it permanent. Because the saddest words in any language are "I wish I had asked." Don't let your family's history become the moon, beautiful and distant and unreachable. Keep it close, keep it alive, keep it sparking. This is History Sparks, where every story matters and every day we keep the memories alive. Together. We'll see you tomorrow.